Alright guys, welcome to the Sith Q&A. As always, before we get started, if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means YouTube marked it as spam or didn't have it show up on the list at all. So in advance, I do apologize for that. Having said that though, let's get on with the Q&A. Starting with 146 Zigzag, who asks, if you lived in the Star Wars universe and were Force-sensitive, do you think you could be tempted to join the dark side? Yeah, probably. You know how many unnecessary rules there are to be a Jedi? Oh, you can't feel this, you can't get married, you know. Lucas... Here's the thing about the Jedi in the prequels, they just made them complete, like... I mean, yeah, the Jedi, they're the good guys, they're all that, but... In the prequels, there's kind of like some really unnecessary rules. There really are just some really incredibly unnecessary rules that had to be put in canon. Like, you know, why can't Jedi feel emotions? I mean, yeah, rage is bad. I mean, that leads to the dark side. But you're not allowed to be attached to someone. So I look at the Sith. You know, this is why we had so many fallen Jedi. Because there were so many walls along the Jedi code, you know? So, yeah, I probably would be, Sith in training, probably. Second question. Zigzag says, second question. I feel Darth Maul, Count Dooku, and General Grievous were all underutilized in the prequels. Do you agree? Well, they weren't so much underutilized as they were underdeveloped. Let me explain. You know how... You know, the Star Wars Star Wars movie, original series, awesome. Prequel universe. The prequel movies suck, but there's a lot of cool stories there. And why is that? Why is that, you know, whenever someone says, oh, I like Darth Maul because I read in a book, or I like Grievous because I read his backstory. Here's the thing. Star Wars, especially in the prequels, does not give you a lot to interpret. And this is why the Dark Horse comics and novels are so well loved, because they really fleshed out characters that we perceived as wooden. There's a reason why there's a lot of people who like Mace Windu, because the extended universe. There's a reason why people like Darth Maul, and especially Boba Fett, because of the extended universe. Not just because of the movies, because they looked cool, but because those stories originated from it. And that's kind of the thing. It's kind of like, you know, you could say that Boba Fett was the original background pony. You could, honest to God, say that he was the OG background pony, because, you know, he was this character that didn't have, you know, he just stood around, looked cool, and people just started putting stuff behind him. Yeah. So we had that. And that's kind of the thing, is that, you know, not a lot of love for these other characters like Maul and Dooku and Grievous comes from the movies, because, well, there's not a lot there for them to love, but when you get to the extended universe, there's stuff there. Because there's this wonderful thing that Lucas seemed to forgot in the prequel trilogy that he put in the original trilogy. Fucking character development. I would go further on this, but I feel like I've said enough here, and I do intend on making a video furthering this point. But yes, I do feel they were not only just underdeveloped, they were underutilized, they were under-fucking development. Because really, and Grievous, I know, Grievous doesn't really count as a Sith. He's more like not even really a fallen Jedi, really. He's just a guy who uses droid, he's a cybernetically enhanced warrior. That's really what he is. I've never really considered Grievous as a member of the Sith. I mean, he works for them, but he's not really, he's neither Force-sensitive, nor is he ever part of the Jedi Order or whatever. Kind of falls under that. For Sith, you have to be either Force-sensitive or a member of the Jedi Order. At least in the new era. The old era of the Sith Empire, with Naga Sadal and, you know, Friedan Nad, that was a little different. But yeah, Grievous just, to me, seemed like he was kind of like, just a Sith, you know, he served the Sith, but he was an unofficial Sith. It's kind of like, Ventress kind of gets a pass. Ventress gets a pass because she was Force-sensitive, and she was trained in the ways of the Sith, and she served under the Sith, but as we all know, there can only be two. The rule of two, but Bane's Law clearly states that there can be others who train under the Sith, but there can be no more than two. I'm sorry, I just went off on that total, I went on that total rant right there. But yeah. What was I saying? But yeah, Grievous never really struck me as a Sith. I've never really considered him Sith, just more like a weapon for the Sith to use. But yeah, getting back to that, yeah, it is kind of they're both underdeveloped, and thank God for extended universe. Anyway, time to get off that. Third question: who are your Sith cast picks? You said Tom Hardy for Starkiller. I'm kind of with what Jason Voorhees told you, that, Sam Witwer was not, he was based off of Starkiller and Force Unleashed, his likeness and whatnot. So yeah, if they ever do a Force Unleashed movie, just get Sam Witwer again. But Tom Hardy, I could see him as a Sith Lord character. Like my friend Jason also said, he would make a good Darth Malak. I would say Benedict Cumberbatch for the voice of Darth Neithus. Who else would be a good Sith Lord? Who else would make good Sith? I don't know. There's just a few right there. Anyway, thank you again, 146 Zigzag. Moving on now to Venom Rules All, who asks, what would Darth Sidious think of Red Skull? He would look at him and be like, impressive, but I can do better. That would literally be his reaction, He would look at, Red Skull and be like, impressive, but I've done better. Second question. After James Earl Jones, who do you think did the best Darth Vader voice? I don't know, it's really hard to top James Earl Jones. It really is really fucking tough to top someone like James Earl Jones. So, who would be, who really had a good, who really did good here? Who really had a good follow-up? I guess, another one would be the voice actor who played Darth Vader in the Soul Calibur and Force Unleashed games. He was all right. But yeah, there you go. But you can't top James Earl Jones. You just can't. But yeah. Anyway, your third question is, what do you think of Darth Malgus from the Old Republic? He's awesome. This pretty much out-in-front savage warrior who led the attack on Coruscant during the peace talks. Yeah, this guy, gave no fucks about, politics of the Sith or the Republic. He just wanted to destroy stuff and get his way. So, Malgus is completely awesome. So, thank you for those questions. Venom Rules All. Moving on now to Zach the Thunder King, who asks, most underrated Sith. I feel like a lot of people really just kind of look over Malak. I feel like even though, yeah, he's the villain of Old Republic, but really, I think a lot of people overlook him. That and, I guess another underrated Sith would be Vertite, He's another one, and Darth Talon from Star Wars Legacy, she's another one. There you go. Alright, second question. Which Sith do you want to see in the Star Wars TV or movie? I guess Star Wars Rebels or TV show or whatever. I guess, for Sith Lords I want to see is, a proper Darth Bane. I mean, yeah, we got to see kinda him in Star Wars The Clone Wars, but he was more like in samurai armor or whatever the fuck it was, and he was his ghost. So, yeah, Darth Bane, a proper Darth Bane. Yeah, I'd even like to see, Darth Revan, Kreia, Malgus, Neithus, just to name a few right there. Alright. Third question. Why did I say Chapter 3? Third question. If you were trained by a Sith, who would you want as your master? I think, in terms of master, I would have to go... In terms of Sith masters, I would have to pick... Well, Malgus, I feel would beat the shit out of me every time I screwed up. So, I would go with someone a little more subtle. Maybe... Malak, nah, he's a little less subtle. I guess, a shot in the dark, I would suppose someone like... Darth Plagueis. Yeah, Darth Plagueis would be my ideal Sith Lord right there. Anyway. So thank you for those questions, Zach. Moving on now to James Fan 1991, who asks, which villain outside of Star Wars universe would make a powerful or dangerous Sith Lord? I guess, who would make good Sith Lords? Master Cyclonus from Stormhawk, she's one. Her whole character design and villain attitude just screams, make me a Sith Lord. Dark Ace, also from Stormhawks. I would also say Evil Lyn from Masters of the Universe, to name a few. Those are just to name a few. Alright, my favorite... You said your favorite Sith Lords are Asajj Ventress and General Grievous. Which one do you like more? Well, I guess in, like, Tarkovsky's miniseries, the miniseries Grievous is awesome. CGI Grievous, not so much in Clone Wars. Although someone gave a pretty good argument of why it was good, and I totally respect that, because when this person... I can't remember who it was, but when I did my Legends of Evil spotlight on Grievous, someone gave me a really good... made a really good argument that I was like, I didn't see it like that. Yeah, I can roll with that. It was another James, actually. It was another, it was a different James, actually. And he gave this really good argument of why, that Grievous deserved to have some recognition. That version of Grievous deserves some recognition. I was like, okay, I can see your point of view on that. But having said that, though, I'm still kind of like, yeah, Tarkovsky's Grievous is still my Grievous. My incarnation of Grievous. And it's kind of flip-flopped, however, because when I saw Asajj Ventress in the Tarkovsky series, I was just like, yeah, whatever, you're one-dimensional, and, it's not with that Grievous, where you saw, like, he was just this villain that was cut like this nightmare to the Jedi. Where Ventress, on the other hand, was just this stubborn kind of brat who was trying to get Dooku's attention. And in the animated series, in the Clone Wars series, it was completely flip-flopped, and especially we got to see so much character growth from her. And now I'm really hoping we see her in Rebels, hopefully as maybe like an anti-hero. She's like Thunderbolts material or Suicide Squad material now. So I guess I have different versions of and I have a love-hate relationship with both of them, really. So, there you go. Third question. You said you had a fanfiction idea where Luke and Leia find themselves in a parallel universe where Padme turned to the dark side and leads the Empire. And Vader followed them there. Interesting, but I mean, it sounds cool, don't get me wrong, because they never really delve into the whole parallel universe thing in Star Wars. But Padme was never really Force-sensitive. I mean, the whole bullshit with midi-chlorians, I mean... That still remains total BS to me, by the way. But yeah, the whole midi-chlorian thing, she didn't have enough to even... She was never really Force-sensitive, and that's kind of a rule to be a Sith. So I guess... But then again, it is a totally different universe, so... Yeah, as long as you're right, in this universe, Padme was not only Force-sensitive, but, had a need to... she was like the reverse Anakin, then, yeah. It all sounds pretty good, but as long as you put that one in there, it'd be like... It wouldn't be too convoluted, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, sounds cool. Anyway, thank you for those questions, James Fan, 1991. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees, 2011. And Jason asks, scale of 1 to 10, how fucked would the Star Wars galaxy be if the Sith got a hold of the Infinity Gauntlet? Pretty bad. It would be totally bad, and the universe would probably be shrouded in darkness for bunches of years. Anyway, second question. Thoughts on the death battle between Darth Vader and Dr. Doom? Do you think Doom won fairly, or Vader should have won? I knew some people were going to ask me about the Doom-Vader fight from Death Battle. I knew some people were going to ask me about this. And hear me out. I love Darth Vader. Darth Vader, probably one of the coolest characters, not just in Star Wars, but in science fiction history and movie history, really. But I think Doom won on fair... I really thought about it, because I thought Vader had it. But when you really think about it, there was no way Vader could have beaten Doom. Because Doom's taken on gods, not just Thor. He's pretty much beaten the shit out of a majority of pantheons. I've seen this dude outsmart Zeus, Galactus, And